Dear EBL2708 student, the purpose of this video is to correct the mistake I made. I know it happens, and I'm sorry that it happened, but it did. So what I want to do now is just quickly fix it. So the work that this relates to is Unit 3, Subunit 1, Gross Income, and specifically Residency. And the specific thing that it relates to is the 330-day rule. In other words, when does a natural person cease to be physically present in South Africa by virtue of the 330-day rule? So if you go back to case study 1 under the residency work, you will remember that we worked on Mr. V, who is a citizen of Nigeria, and we give you the number of days from 2013 to 2019, and then the question tells you he left South Africa on the 10th of June 2018, and then in the required, there's two parts: determine if he's a resident if he doesn't leave for a continuous period of at least 330 full days, and the second one is determine if he is a resident if he leaves, right? And this is the one where I need to fix, right? So listen carefully. So when we deal with these types of questions, just to refresh your memory, it's always good to draw a timeline. I find that really helps to determine in what year of assessment you are, and when somebody's leaving or when they're coming into South Africa. So we know that Mr. V was a resident in terms of the physical presence test. We already tested that, and we also know that he's not ordinarily resident because it was clear that South Africa is not his real home. And remember, you always have to test for ordinarily resident first, and only then do we go for physical presence, right? And in my example, YOA stands for year of assessment. So what I did was, and I'll show you exactly where my mistake was on the next slide, but this is what we have to look at. And this is an extract from an interpretation note that SARS issued. Now, the purpose of interpretation notes are to clarify, what SARS's thinking is, or Treasury's thinking is, in terms of a specific piece of legislation. So this one specifically deals with the physical presence test, and what it says is the following. It says the date on which a natural person ceases to be a resident. So a natural person who is a resident by virtue of the physical presence test ceases to be a resident when that person is physically outside the Republic for a continuous period of at least 330 full days. Right, we know that. This is the sentence that's really important. Residence will cease from the day after the person left the Republic. So if we have to do a determination of when somebody that is a resident by virtue of the physical presence test ceases to be a resident, the day that they are still in the country, in other words, the day that they get onto the plane and go out, they are still considered to be a resident. They will be considered to be a non-resident from the day thereafter, and that's the mistake I made. I took it that the day that they got on the plane, that then they cease to be a resident, which is a mistake. And I'm really sorry about this. So just to confirm, if you look at somebody who ceases to be a resident in terms of the physical presence test, if they're outside South Africa for more than 330 full days, they will cease to be a resident from the day after they left South Africa. So just to bring it back to our case study, I'm not going to go through scenario 1 because we've already worked in terms of that he is a resident. Now, scenario 2, because he's outside South Africa for more than 330 full days, we have to consider, when he's going to become a non-resident. So the day on which he ceases to be physically present in South Africa is the 10th of June, which means he will be regarded as a non-resident because he was outside South Africa for more than 330 full days from the 11th of June 2018. Pardon. In other words, the day after he left South Africa. So for that specific year of assessment, Mr. V will be regarded as a resident, in other words, taxed on worldwide income from the 1st of March 2018 until the 10th of June 2018, and as a non-resident, in other words, taxed on South African source from the 11th of June until the 28th of Feb 2019. Again, I really apologize, please have a look at this video, and if you have questions or you're still confused, please drop me a question on the discussion board on Blackboard so that I can help everybody through your question. Have a lovely day. Bye.